So we started the show talking about the Colorado performance to open up the season. Deion Sanders and company, Shador. You've got Travis Hunter. You've got Edwards, the running back who had 4 touchdowns. I mean, everybody put on a show there in Fort Worth there for Colorado. And afterwards, of course, Deion Sanders wanted to let everybody know how he felt about the whole situation. There were media members there that apparently he was keeping receipts on that had doubted whether or not this whole thing was going to work. So let's listen to Prime after the game on Saturday.
We're gonna continuously be questioned because we do things that have never been done. That's the way our life has presented themselves. We do things that have never been done, and that makes people uncomfortable. When you see a confident black man sitting up here talking his talk, walking his walk, coaching 75% African Americans in the locker room, that's kind of threatening. Oh, they don't like that. But guess what? We're going to consistently do what we do because I'm here and ain't going nowhere. And I'm about to get comfortable in a minute. What's up, boss? You believe now? Hold on. Oh, no. Do you believe now? Huh? Oh, no. I read through that bull junk you wrote down. I read through that. I sifted through all that. Yeah. Oh, no. Come on. Do you believe? You don't believe. You just answered it. You don't believe. Next question.
So there was Deion Sanders who took the opportunity to celebrate and then, air out a member of the media post-game.
Yeah.
A good story. And then stuff like that pops up, and you go, all right, dude.
You know what's really fascinating about this, and we talked about this a little bit on the pregame show, is for Prime to do what he's done, he had to come into coaching now, right, to exercise the ability to use the transfer portal, to take a program that was 1-11. Because that's the other part of this is like CU was at a spot where when Deion came in and pitched what he wanted to do, what else were they going to say? Right? Like where else could they turn? Where else could they go? They didn't have another option. Like other schools, like he interviewed at TCU back in 2021. They decided at that point in time it wasn't the right time, I think, with how things kind of worked out, and eventually a year later ended up going with Sonny Dykes. But, there was a number of schools that Auburn didn't want to give him an interview, right? Other schools chose to go with different guys. And honestly, like if he had come in to any of those schools and pitched to them this exact plan, they might have been like, yeah, we can't do all that, Colorado, they changed their academic standards as far as like what, looking for, transfer portal players and the student athletes they could admit. They changed all that. Then they signed on to this plan for completely turning over the roster, which is, as he had said, has never been done before. Now, it's been done to certain degrees. Colorado has like 80-some new players. You know who else has a ton of new players? Nebraska. They have 64 new players. You don't hear a lot of people talking about Nebraska and turning over their roster, but they have. There's other places who are doing it, maybe not to the magnitude Colorado is, and it's interesting that both Nebraska and Colorado are going to square off this weekend. But I think the timing for Deion to do what he's done at Colorado was the perfect storm. It was like the perfect moment in time with the success he had at Jackson State to go to Boulder to create this vision of what he wanted to do and how he wanted to do it, to bring along, his sons and players with him from there. It was the perfect storm, the perfect timing to do it. And so as far as what the rest of the season looks like, it's all still going to be fascinating. It's going to be fascinating to see how, he handles it as a coach, his staff, his players, and all of them. Because I'll tell you right now, the way they looked this past weekend, they're going to be 3-0. They should be top 25 ranked after this past weekend. And then we'll see where things go from there because things pick up. They're really their biggest test is going to be Oregon. And they've got them, I believe, week 4 of the college football season.
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm not certain they win this game this week. And
shoot. It's a bad matchup for Nebraska.
I feel bad.
I'm
just going to put it out there.
Don't you feel bad for Matt Rule? I kind of feel bad for Matt Rule.
I'm not going to say I feel bad for Matt Rule.
They don't have anything that can come close to the playmakers that Colorado has on the outside. They're going to have a hard time covering them. They're going to have a hard time stopping them from scoring. They don't have much of a pass rush. And the only thing Nebraska's got to hang its hat on is running the football 60 times. And then seeing if Colorado can stop Nebraska running the football. Because from what I saw, man, they don't have, unless they're going to end up playing a bunch of young guys, they try to give some of the upperclassmen an opportunity this past game versus Minnesota. I give Minnesota credit. I mean, Jeff Sims made two really bad mistakes.
That's not a bad team. Minnesota's a pretty competitive team. I'm not so certain that Nebraska doesn't win the game. Sure. I'll say this, and listen, college football is college football. Sometimes the pendulum swings in a direction that people may not have anticipated, and then you got to go back and look at it. What's up, pendulum?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then you got to go back and you got to look at it and break it down as to why things happen the way that they happen. And you mentioned the running attack in the running game. They're about to play a Big Ten team. And I know they have talent, but it's just going to be interesting to see week 2 what that looks like. What is the physicality going to look like? My biggest concern right now today is Colorado's defense did not look good at all.
Yeah,
they didn't look good.
About so many teams.
I know, I think that's the point.
Defense hasn't looked great.
But that's the point I'm making. There were a lot of teams. They looked so bad. Penn State's defense looked bad. There were a lot of teams that their defensive units looked bad. And so to me, it's like, what are we going to see week 2? I'm interested and I'm curious to see what some of these teams look like now that they got a game under their belt. And so with that being said, that's not even my biggest storyline here. The biggest storyline here is that Prime doubled down on the success of winning this first game. And saying what he said when we listened to the soundbite, I think that it just raises the stakes that much more for Prime to have to continue to win. Now, and for what it's worth, and it's truly based off of him self-imposing that pressure on himself and on his team and his program. And some people thrive in that. Some people thrive in it and some people don't. But it'll be curious to see because you put it out there in a way like, let me just be the one to say it's not just black people that are pulling for Deion Sanders to win. Like, I'm going to just throw that out there. There are a lot of people that want to see Deion succeed. I mean, even listening to the show on Friday when I brought up the fact that if Deion were to lose the game, would the critics, attack certain things about him? And Brady, you came in quick and was like, man, it don't matter. Like, and it was very, very balanced on, and I would even say just very, very pro Deion. There are a lot of people that are pro Deion to succeed. So to me, I felt like, knowing Prime, he's going to state his obvious feelings towards situations and how he sees it and how he comprehends it. I felt like, for me, in that moment, it was like, be a unifier. Like, I don't know if that was a misstep, or I don't want to call it, because he's a very intentional person. So I don't want to call it a misstep, but I'm like, this was a win for you, yes, but this was also a tremendous win for Colorado and the Colorado community.
And don't you also think that if you just took his name out of it, and I just said to you, all right, so you got this coach who's taken over a one-win program. He comes from an HBCU, and he's going to be coaching his 2 sons. He's got all of these transfers. They're 20-plus point underdogs on the road to open the season. Oh, and by the way, he almost had his foot amputated, and he's got to sit down and rest during the game.
His toes amputated. He's gone through so much.
It's gone through a lot. Everything about that story is a feel-good story, and then he drops that stuff after the game, and it's like, all right, what are we doing here?
Well, what it does, it alienated a lot of people that were like, well, I'm not black. I'm not African American. Like, I'm not. Can I still be down with y'all? Like, can I root for y'all? Can I love y'all? Can I love Colorado? Like, I just, but I get where he's coming from, because he was stating you guys were writing all this stuff about me, and he was probably basing it off of very, very obvious reasons as to why they were saying what they were saying.
He didn't come after us. We were pro-prime.
Yeah, I mean, I get where he was coming from. I get it. You know, like I reposted my post about Feinbaum coming out on him.
The thing I don't understand is like when he's talking about the dynamics or the makeup of the locker room. I'm like, well, that hasn't changed. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like when he's talking about like the color of the skin of the young men he's coaching, I'm like, well, hold on a second. I was like, I mean, it's 2023. I was like, it wasn't. He said 75. I'm like, well, yeah, that was what my locker room looked like. Like what are we talking about here? I mean, I'm just saying. I'm like, wait, hold on a second.
Like 75 plus pretty much everywhere you go.
Every locker room.
Yeah,
I was like, every coach is like, yep, same over here.
You think Jace Feely's looking around going, wait a second?
Well, I mean, here's the funny thing is like the first interception was like Woods, their safety. I mean, he's on your team, Jonas.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness,
and that's the point, Q. Like, what about the 25% that aren't?
Yeah. Well,
like, how do they feel? Like, dang, coach, like, you don't bang with me? Yeah. Is my skin my sin in this situation? Like, I don't know. I think that was kind of, if there were any small criticism that I would lob and say, like, man, might have been a missed opportunity. But he's so big. He's such a big personality. This is a movie being made right now. Like, if he continues to win, it's a movie.